Remember the McCluskeys? Great people in St. Louis. They were defending their home during a crazy Black Lives Matter protest. They felt threatened. They had weapons. They came out of their house to defend their property. So for a lot of us, this was a clear-cut, textbook, appropriate use of those weapons. They felt threatened. Who knows what that mob was going to do? They were charged with a felony, you may remember. It was very, very serious. Well, today they pleaded guilty to misdemeanors. I was a little bit disappointed to hear that. I thought they had a great case, but probably makes sense for them. They will be able to continue to bear arms, and they will be able to keep their law licenses. Patricia and Mark McCluskey, both attorneys. I talked to them about the trouble they were in last year.
You've got to be worried. I mean, the maximum penalty associated with this felony is 4 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. And so you've got to be, and there's an election coming up, and you know the governor has certainly come out in favor of our position and said he would pardon us if we get convicted, but the governor's up for election too. And so you can never predict anything with certainty in this world, particularly in this upside down, bizarro world we're in now.
Well, that governor won his re-election campaign, and we'll see if they get pardoned. This was probably a good move for them, practically speaking. He'll be able to continue his run, Mark McCluskey will, for the United States Senate. He'll be joining us in just a bit, all right? So Joe Biden is back in the United States after that, I think, bizarre trip to Geneva to meet with Vladimir Putin. I thought he looked weak. I thought he looked pretty nasty at times. Even the mainstream media had to report a certain portion of the press conference. They didn't want to go there, but they did.
President Biden said the world will find out within a few months if any of Putin's promises will hold. But he lost his temper when asked why he seemed confident that Putin could change his behavior.
What do you do over there? So when did I say I was confident?
He later apologized.
Shouldn't have been such a wise guy with the last answer I gave.
Now that he's back in Washington, the president faces significant domestic challenges, especially the fate of his massive infrastructure proposal.
All right, they said he lost his temper, but if you blink, you might have missed that in the report. And they only showed you a very small, very select portion of it. NBC, Today's Show, did the same thing.
Putin, for his part, saying the summit saw no hostility between the two, while expressing respect for Mr. Biden as a political leader.
He's very constructive. He's very balanced, just the way that I expected.
The president flashing frustration when pressed on the future of the relationship.
Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm not confident changing behavior. What do you do over there? So when did I say I was confident?
You said in the next 6 months you'll be able to determine.
What I said was, let's get it straight. I said what will change their behavior is if the rest of the world reacts to them and it diminishes their standing in the world.
Now, the president later publicly apologized for his reaction to that question, which mischaracterized his comments. Asked again by reporters if his optimism was more wishful thinking than reality, President Biden said there's value to being realistic while putting on an optimistic face.
It's wild. None of the networks are telling you why he really apologized. They're saying he apologized. They're showing you a moment you might think he's apologizing for that, but he did something far worse. And all of the networks made the same mistake or are covering up in the same way.
I think that the last thing he wants now is a Cold War.
But Biden also bristling when pressed on why he thinks Putin will change his ways.
Why are you so confident he'll change his behavior, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm not confident changing behavior. What do you do over there? What I said was, let's get it straight. I said what will change their behavior is if the rest of the world reacts to them and it diminishes their standing in the world. I'm not confident of anything. I'm just stating the fact.
And the president did actually later apologize for that heated exchange. And while he says he's not confident Putin will change, Biden says there is a value to putting on an optimistic face.
All right, again with the face. All three networks did it. NBC, ABC, CBS, they're not showing you what he really apologized for, what his big mistake was. And they're not showing you the big mistake. And here it is. Now, it's not fiery, but listen and read the words. What he says to this reporter from CNN, he is nasty, he is insulting, and arguably he's harassing her.
He downplayed human rights abuses. He even refused to say Alexei Navalny's name. So how does that account to a constructive meeting as President Putin?
If you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business.
If you don't understand that, you're in the wrong business. Now, Donald Trump actually called the fake news altogether. He lumped everybody in. Donald Trump was really tough on the press. I know. We all know that, right? But to single out somebody and say, you're not even worthy of the fake news, you're not worthy to be here, you shouldn't be in this business, that's pretty mean. And I know that his staff freaked out when he said that to a female reporter. This is the kind of thing that will get you in trouble in corporate America. Early, he was just frustrated because he was misquoted. This is bad stuff. No wonder why they didn't take him out of that basement during the campaign. Joe Biden is a nasty, often mean guy. He is. You can't get away from it. You know, during the campaign, he was blessed. He was totally hooked up in the basement or in those special areas where he could keep people and the press away from him. He never would have won had it not been for COVID. He knows that. His staff knows that. They've actually admitted it. Take a look at this. Anita Dunn, one of his top communications officials, told two political journalists. Dunn told one associate what campaign officials believed, but would never say in public about the disease's effect on Biden's fortune. COVID is the best thing that ever happened to him, she said. Anita Dunn, Biden campaign senior advisor. And it's true. Joe Biden, out there on the campaign trail, he does not know how to behave. He's been protected. He's protected in the White House, but every now and then, the real Joe does get through. You can't change who you are. Remember this?
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That would have taken out a candidate under normal circumstances, but they had to do everything they could to protect Joe and get at Trump. Now compare this to a minor skirmish that happened between a CNN reporter and Kayleigh McEnany. Remember her, the White House press secretary? She did a great job. Take a look.
Kayleigh, why can't you call on all of us? You haven't taken questions. I don't call on activists. I'm not an activist, and you haven't taken questions since October 1st, and you just took about 5, Kayleigh. That's not doing your job. Your taxpayer-funded job.
I find that so obnoxious on this person's part. Now, that little skirmish, Kayleigh called her an activist. They called the grief counselors over there at CNN, and they wanted to make this reporter the woman of the century.
Caitlin, just 1 second. Stay there. I just want to say you got attacked from the podium today unfairly and unprofessionally. And I just want to note, you're one of the best White House correspondents ever in the history of this country. You do a fantastic job, and we're very lucky to have you. And we are all 100% behind you. So thanks for that report, and thanks for the job you do.
Thank you for saying that.
You see, one little sling comes their way, and it's total war, huh? Now, Donald Trump could be tough on reporters. I know it, you know it, but he was blunt and direct and never said that an individual reporter didn't necessarily deserve to be there, even when he was very hard on them.
Do you expect Matt Whitaker to be involved in the Russia probe? Do you want him to?
That's up to him.
Do you want him to rein in Robert Mueller?
What a stupid question that is. What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Nobody would say this at the time, but it was kind of a stupid question. But again, all-out outrage. Joe Biden can say a reporter is in the wrong business because her question was too aggressive. But Donald Trump said legitimately a question was dumb. All hell broke loose.
Now we're supposed to believe, Abby Phillip is asking a stupid question. There's a constant theme here, and it's right out of the white supremacist playbook.
Stupid answer more than a stupid question. That was President Trump insulting a reporter.
He rudely insulted you, which was totally inappropriate. Your question was 100% perfect, got right to the point.
I'm trying to keep my composure on this fine Sunday morning. The president was a bully, just flat out.
All right. All those individuals, we've checked it out. Their reaction to genuine potential white supremacist rhetoric, no outrage. Joe Biden?
And you ain't black.
Again, that should have been a mortal blow to the campaign. No, it's Joe, and everything's protected, and no questions are asked, and very few answers are revealed.
In an unusual move, President Biden not holding a joint press conference with Putin afterwards. Instead, in dueling appearances, both sides offering sometimes differing views of how it went.
Everybody was making a big deal that they did not have a joint press conference. Well, they just said it's unusual, no joint press conference. They wouldn't say why, not often. We all know why. Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin on the same stage. Look, Vladimir is 10 years younger than Joe and didn't lose his cool. Some reporters admitted it, but in hushed tones, and they got over it real fast.
I think there's a lot of potential for that joint press conference for the optics to be pretty bad.
Pretty bad. And then she changed the subject really quick. Pretty bad because we know Joe struggles. He struggles a lot. The optics were actually pretty bad at that solo press conference, but they covered for him, literally. And they took out the worst part. They don't trust us with it, I guess. Don't worry, I'll keep you covered.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.